By morning on January 3, the pumps had the water level sufficiently under control for us to take 2 hours rest in rotation. So now one by one, they were taking 2 hours rest. Now they were in a position where they could take rest, 2 hours rest. So like the water level was under their control now. This was by morning on January 3. Till uh, till then they had not got any rest. They were working on it continuously for hours and hours. But we still had a tremendous leak. A huge leak was still there, somewhere below. They had not seen from where, but somewhere below the waterline that they just guessed. And on checking, I found. So he went and he checked. He found that nearly all the boat's main rib frames were smashed down to the keel. Keel means base. So the framework of the boat had smashed down, had broken, destroyed to the keel, to the base. In fact, there was nothing holding up a whole section of the starboard hull except a few cupboard partitions. In fact, the starboard side, that means the right hand side of the hull, the main body of the ship, was just supported by a few cupboard partitions. Otherwise it was about to break off, about to just fall into pieces. We had survived for 15 hours since the wave hit. So they had survived for how many hours? 15 hours since the wave hit. But Wave Walker wouldn't hold together long enough for us to reach Australia. So they knew that to remain alive, they have to reach Australia. But by the condition of the boat, they could make out that it would be very difficult for them to reach Australia like that. So reaching Australia was out of question for them, because the condition of the boat was so bad that it could collapse any time. I checked our charts and calculated that there were 2 small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east. So he checked his charts and made some calculations, and he found 2 small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east. One of them, Isle Amsterdam. One of the islands was Isle Amsterdam, which was a French scientific base. Our only hope was to reach these pinpricks in the vast ocean. But those islands were like pinpricks in the vast ocean. That means they were very, very small islands and very difficult to find also. But unless the wind and seas abated, so we could hoist sail, our chance would be slim indeed. But they could not hoist sail and reach the island in time, because the wind was blowing at a very high speed and the seas were also not getting less. Abated means not decreasing. The seas were still high, the waves. And so their chance of reaching one of those islands was also slim. The great wave had put our auxiliary engine out of action, and the auxiliary engine, the extra engine they had, was also out of order because of that gigantic wave. It was not functioning at all. So they were left with little hope to reach one of those islands. On January 4, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, we reached the last few centimeters of water. Now we had only to keep pace with the water still coming in. So they had controlled the water which was coming in by pumping it out continuously, and they had been doing it for 36 hours. So the water which was coming in was quite in control now. We could not set a sail on the mainmast. Pressure on the rigging would simply pull the damaged section of the hull apart, because one section, starboard side of the hull, was totally damaged. So to put on the mast, to put on the sail on the mast would create pressure on the system of the rope and cables, and that would pull the damaged section of the hull apart. It would get broken off with the pressure. So we hoisted the storm jib. So they did not put the proper sail on the mainmast. They instead put storm jib, a small sail, and headed for where I thought the two islands were. And they started moving towards those two islands. Mary found some corned beef and cracker biscuits, and we ate our first meal in almost 2 days. And that was their first meal after almost 2 days. What did they have? Corned beef and cracker biscuits. And they were moving towards those two islands.